I think maybe a little bit, you know. And I mean, Broken and Fix are the two most aggressive records in my opinion, and I think that was more brought on by Trent's fight with Steve Gottlieb at TBT, and he was just really angry about what had happened. You work your whole life to get something, and you finally start getting it, and then you end up butting heads with somebody who is trying to tell you. Nothing makes an artist more angry than people in offices trying to tell them how to make their music. It's like, no, your job is just sell what I give you. If you knew how to do this, you would have been doing this, and obviously you're not because you can't. So just you do your job, and I'll do mine. And I don't know all the specifics of how bad it got with those two, but it got really bad. So I think a lot of that was those two records in particular were based more on that kind of stuff. I mean, after Pretty Hate, I mean, Trent and I kind of split up for a little while after that. I actually he ended up moving to New Orleans for the first time, and I moved to Chicago for the first time because I just love Chicago and I love the wax track scene, and that's where I took some time off. Like the one tour in my 10 years I didn't do was the Lollapalooza tour, and Jeff Ward did that. But I had moved there and ended up doing an album and a tour with Die Warzau, who was another industrial band at the time, a Chicago-based band. I ended up doing some stuff. I did a tour and an album with KMFDM. It was the Money tour. I worked with them on a couple of songs, and then did that whole tour, which was amazing. That was great, man. That band we were really good. It was the three original guys. It was Anesh and Gunther, Sasha, and then Mike Durrani and me. It was just like, man, it was really good. It was fun too. I was always a big KMFDM fan, and then I helped some friends of mine who had a band called Stabbing Westward, and I played on all their demos and helped them, and then they ended up getting a deal with Columbia or Epic, and then so they wanted me to sign the deal with them and stay with them, but Trump was like kind of he was in the middle of Broken, and he ended up working just outside of Chicago with Flood up in Wisconsin. I forget the name of the studio up there. It was Lake something or other, and so I went up and visited him, and it was just like we ended up just like I ended up wanting to go back. I'd rather go back to Nine Inch Nails than stay with Stabbing Westward. So I ended up not staying with them. And Andy Kubashevsky from Cleveland ended up doing the gig. So once again, it's a very small world in our little genre. there's only a few of us freaks that really enjoy doing what we do. So we all kind of know each other. But yeah, so I ended up taking that year or so while he was doing those records and dealing with his TBT stuff and then getting out of his deal and then moving over to Interscope. All that was happening, and so he was in a kind of in a bad spot there for a while. So I ended up just going out and doing my own thing with all those other bands, which was great. I was so glad I got to got to hang out with Jim at the Wax Trax offices before he died and everything, and just being part of that whole scene in Chicago. Going to Crash Palace, which was this great little bar. And every Wednesday night, Al Jurgensen would do country western DJing because he was totally obsessed with country western, and he'd just spin like old country western stuff, like the real dark, drug stuff, and that was great. It was a really cool time to be in Chicago and part of that scene, and that would have been about 91, 91 into 92.